watching The Talk. I'm Marisa Suter, and you're watching The Talk. Our theme for today is medieval times, so who we actually are the three lovely ladies that will give us insight into their daily lives. To my left, we have the wonderful wife of Bath from the Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, one of the most dedicated priestesses in the nunnery, Ashley Oden, and the lovely Margery Kemp, who will be speaking a little bit about her recent publication in the Norton Anthology of English Literature. Each of these women is ready to talk gossip, so I hope you stay tuned for today's show. So for all our reviews out there, let's play a true-false game about the medieval times to help learn about some of the historical events. We will have each of these ladies state a true or false to the statement I say. Okay, let's begin. The Middle Ages designates the time span from the collapse of the Roman Empire to the Renaissance and Reformation.
This is quite an accurate statement, so I have to go with true.
Okay, next statement. This fact may be a little difficult for some of you ladies. The adjective medieval coined from the German medium and idiom mean age.
I know this one. I learned it when I was studying in the convent. This is a false adjective, meaning medieval comes from the Latin word medium, meaning middle, and idiom, meaning age. This is where the phrase Middle Ages comes from.
Thank you for that piece of information, Ashley. Let's move on to the next fact. During the medieval times, the people were struck with a devastating pandemic called the Black Death.
Yes, this is true.
The horrible plague struck millions of the people and wiped out almost a third of the population. Okay, now that we have discovered some interesting facts about the time period of the Middle Ages, let's get into the gossip. Let's begin with discussing roles each of you feel you have in your society. I have learned that most medieval women had little or no roles to play in terms of the country. Women were called to support their husbands and children only.
I feel that I am separated from this world. I live in a convent, also called a nunnery, which is a religious home where all the nuns live together, away from the rest of the world.
I don't understand why you would want to isolate yourself from the rest of the world, especially from men. Virginity is a kind of perfection as a devotion, moderation. Jesus' message has intended for people who wanted to live a perfect life. And that, mind you, is not me.
Oh, you poor woman. I don't understand why you have to be so consumed with men and your worldly desires. You should remain clean and dedicate your life to Christ like me.
Okay, ladies, I understand that you have differences, but let's try and keep our comments as respectful of each other as you possibly can. Let's stay on track of what we came here to talk about today, and that is how you feel about society's views, starting with the lovely wife of Bath.
Well, I am Geoffrey Chaucer's story of Canterbury Tales, and I feel that I am viewed by the readers as a woman who has used men to satisfy womanly needs, but I came here today to explain to the readers I was wrongly percepted of me. I am a skilled weaver, and I have been doing the best to support myself with my weaving. If something were to happen to my husband's, I do not like how men feel power and control over women, but that is just how the medieval time is. We as women did not have a say-so in anything. Society felt it was wrong for me to have had married 5 times, but I think it was wrong for my father to sell me to marriage to a man which was a complete stranger. I did not have a say-so in whom I married. So who are you? Who do they have room to comment on the previous marriages?
That is very interesting, how you addressed how you were sold into marrying a man.
You think that is interesting to you? It has been a disgrace to me and has greatly affected me and has made me become the kind of woman I am today, a wife who is very controlling and manipulating to my husband.
No, please, I didn't want you to take it like that. I meant nothing in regards to your own personal experiences with regards to you dealing with your father's decision. I just wanted to make a point to our audience that back in the time, women were that women who were from wealthier families had no choice who they were in marrying.
Okay, I accept your apology. I want to clear things up that you said in regards to society viewing women who were forced into marriage. Girls like me, for example, who came from a wealthy family, have often no say in who they were to marry, while on the other hand, girls who came from poor families were less likely to get married because their families needed them to help them with work.
Okay, now I see the difference. Marjorie, do you have anything to say in regards to marriage?
Well, I am married and I have 14 children. So, as you can say, I have been fruitful during my lifetime. During my marriage, I had been experiencing visions and have had conversations with God through prayer, and I felt at the time that He called me to obtain chastity within me in my husband's marriage. I feel that sexual actions between a man and woman are unclean, and that I am called to be dedicated to God and only God. I felt that I have kept my promise to my husband by being fruitful and by giving him children, but now I feel that it is my duty to follow God's calling.
So, you have just decided to remain celibate within you and your husband's marriage after many years of being fruitful? Do you want to convert to a nun and live in a nunnery? What was your husband's stance on the decision, since it will affect him as well?
Oh, how I wish to be pure and holy as those nuns, but they have not allowed me to choose that path of life because I have bared children and have had a husband. My husband's reaction was against my proposal, but after prayer he accepted my offer. As long as I pay his debts before I go to Jerusalem and eat with him on Fridays. We agreed to those rules and guideline within our marriage. He finally set me free and allowed me to give my body fully to God.
That must have been a tough decision for your husband, but I am glad that everything has worked out. Dear sweet Ashley, can you tell me about your experiences or views on marriage?
Oh yes, being the nun that I am, I have proposed a vow of chastity and obedience to God. I feel that I have been called to live the life of a pure and worthy of God. Even though this life of obtaining sexual abstinence and promise to never marry or encounter men have been hard on some of the fellow nuns in the convent, I have found that it is my duty to follow through with my vows.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're back, and the wife of Bath is going to give her opinion and viewpoints on what Ashley had just said.
How has it been hard for nuns similar to yourself to remain abstinent, though y'all were supposed to be pure and holy and didn't even think about sexual activities?
Well, wife of Beth, we are humans, just as you and I are, and the other nuns in the nunnery, struggle with fulfilling our promises and often struggle in remaining celibate. Some of the nuns practice sadism, masochism, and phantom pregnancies, which are all against the orders of the convent. Some other women are not able to restrain from meeting their sexual needs.
Ashley, since you said life in the nunnery was very structured and was filled with many rules, what kind of chores did you work on a daily basis?
Well, we do live in a very structured life, and we are required to do some manual work such as washing, cooking, growing vegetables, spinning, weaving, and providing medical care for the community. Those are some of our daily tasks that we have had to complete on top of the reading the book of hours that requires us to read in certain times of the day. We sing hymns and prayers in order for us to secure salvation for ourselves. The life of nunnery provides everything we need in order to survive without stepping outside of the nunnery. Being a nun also has perks because we are able to receive some form of education.
Hey, that is not fair. I think that is unjust. I am a medieval woman who holds high society power, but I have not been able to receive education like any of my husbands. I may not receive an education, but I am sure educated on how to trick my husband into letting him be in control of our marriage. How is that being educated?
Okay, now let's not get off track. So we have just learned that women were not able to receive the education the way men did. Is living in the nunnery the only way to have received a proper education back then?
Yes, the statement is very true. I am living proof that medieval women were not allowed to receive an education. I myself did not know how to read or write, but look at me today. Through learning scriptures of the Bible, I was able to tell my story of my life and separate it into two parts. Oh, by the way, make sure and go check the book out. It is called Margery Kemp. It is newly revised by a priest and now in Barnes & Noble's bookstores everywhere.
Thank you for that bit of advertisement, Marjorie. Now, Marjorie, since you have children, what roles did you have to play in the household as a mother and a wife?
Well, life within the household is difficult for women during the time period we lived in. It is tough on us because we are expected to take care of our households, husbands, and children. We started our day soon as the sun broke dawn and had to prepare breakfast and work in the fields during the day. Our duties involved a lot of manual labor. We are also expected to prepare the grains and ingredients for all our meals and take care of the animals, including, not to mention, our children. We had to gently care for our children and make sure they were in good health, because back in our time it was hard to maintain good health without the right medicines to cure us. Once the dinner was prepared and the husband and children ate, we had little time for ourselves. Our lives were schedules and repetition day in and day out, similar to the life Ashley had described of nuns that lived in the nunnery.
Wow, that must have been a lot of work to take care of the children, grow crops, and preparing them food by scratch. It seemed that all these things were a lot to handle, but they were necessary to provide your family with enough food to live a healthy life.
You are exactly right, Marisa. I raised all of my 14 children, and I do not know how I did it. Even in my husband's old age, I returned back from Jerusalem to take care of him and aid him like a good medieval wife was called to do.
Okay, ladies, now that we have covered most of the topics and each of you have shared your life experiences, you all have had seemingly representing the different roles women at the time could be. Let's talk about how each of your faith has impacted your spiritual and emotional well-being. Let's begin with Ashley.
Well, I am a nun, and I go to service that are held within the nunnery every day. I consider myself as a devoted Christian, and I pray to my Lord and give him my gratitude for everything that I do. There are other nuns like Julian of Norwich who lived in an anchor hold that have only 3 openings, little windows. One window was to pass meals through, the second was where she could see Mass, and the third was where she
Could receive communion.
she could see communion, yes, thank you. This decision, to live in solitude shows complete devotion to Christ, even more than nuns like me.
I cannot believe that ladies would lock themselves in a cell that is attached to the church to show devotion to Christ. That is crazy. I show my devotion through Christ in my own way. I pray to God, and that is enough.
Oh, how I wish to have shown dedication like Julian of Norwich. I have read that she had the same visions from God as me. I feel that my faith has shaped my whole life, and it has given me eternal happiness. Everything I do is for Christ and Christ alone.
Wow, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing all of your stories and allowing us to learn more about your lives and how it was back then. All of y'all went through great lengths to become